conversation heated up when Angel Reese was placed in the C tier.
Then you got Angel Reese. I put her right at that C level.
Parker explained her reasoning, saying Reese has been fantastic in a role, especially on the offensive boards, but isn't a primary scoring option yet. It's a fair, honest take.
Something just happened in the WNBA world that has fans either stunned, furious, or both. A Hall of Fame-level figure just pulled the curtain back on one of the league's most hyped young players, and the aftermath has been pure chaos. Candace Parker, known not just for her accolades, but for her basketball IQ, decided to rank current WNBA players, and her placement of Angel Reese ignited a wildfire. She didn't just put Reese in a lower tier, she essentially challenged the entire narrative surrounding her. The ranking placed Angel Reese as a C-tier player, not B, not AC, and the explanation was sharp. She's not a player you build a team around. She's not your number one, not your number two. She's not the engine of a championship team. She's a strong rebounder, yes, but that's where the praise ends. And this wasn't said in anger or spite.
Like, there's absolutely no foul in that. She gets a good whistle, jumps up, and then goes at somebody on the other team. Who's she go at? She goes at Diamond Miller, her former Maryland teammate. And, like, Angel's one tech off a suspension as well. And is, like, anytime anyone gets into it with her, she's straight in their face. And I'm like, I don't mind that. But you just got to be smart. To be fair, this guy sucks, so you might as well just go and take your, I'll say it.
It was a calm, factual breakdown. Still, the internet erupted. Reese's fans couldn't believe it. Social media lit up with accusations and backlash. But while they screamed bias, Parker didn't flinch. Instead, she brought receipts. While Reese racks up double-doubles, her team keeps losing. That disconnect, stats versus outcomes, is the core of Parker's critique. And it's hard to argue with the logic. When you dig deeper into Reese's numbers, something becomes painfully clear. Her impact doesn't translate to wins. She's posting box score highlights, sure, but the team keeps falling apart when it matters. Reese has become the face of flashy stats with little substance behind them. While the media celebrates her rebound counts, her team's losses pile up. It's a pattern that analysts have quietly noticed for a while. Now it's out in the open. The turning point came during a game against the Minnesota Lynx.
In the entire WNBA and Angel Reese in garbage time. We saw it. Angel Reese last year against the Fever with like 2 minutes to go. She needed to, I think it was like 6 points and 3 rebounds. And she went and caught like 2 rebounds and then immediately goes at Victoria Saxton 3 times in a row.
Reese had a brutal outing, 9 turnovers, poor decision-making, missed layups, sloppy passes, all while her team was getting run off the court. And yet, she still ended with a double-double. That night became the perfect example of style over substance. The turnovers weren't forced by elite defenders. They were unforced errors, passes flying over teammates' heads, travels, bad footwork, dribbles off the knee, mistakes that don't belong in the pro level. It wasn't just a bad night, it was a warning sign. Her basketball IQ crumbled under even modest pressure. Opposing coaches saw it, they studied the tape, and they started crafting game plans designed to put Reese in those vulnerable spots. Once the pressure hit, she crumbled, again and again. This wasn't just a one-time fluke, it's a theme, game after game.
Angel Reese had 9 turnovers. Yo, listen, y'all gotta stop with this point forward foolishness, man. Let's take a look, man. Hold on, man. Y'all be wildin'. Y'all be wildin', son. Bruh, come on, man. Y'all gotta stop. Y'all gotta stop, yo. Y'all gotta stop.
Reese racks up rebounds while giving away possessions. That's a losing formula. The stats look impressive until you check the scoreboard. Her high-minute games tend to result in losses, and when she's benched or limited, the Sky actually play better. That's not an opinion, it's data. This has forced a lot of people to rethink what kind of player she really is. Is she a franchise star or a role player wrapped in hype? The narrative around her says superstar. The results say otherwise. Chicago's win percentage jumps significantly when Reese plays fewer than 30 minutes. The offense flows better. The team looks more cohesive. Other players get involved instead of being forced to revolve around her.
I'm telling you, with a win last night, Angel Reese would have surpassed the Rue from Waterloo in popularity. Now, I am not saying that her dozens of aliases would have passed Caitlin Clark, but Angel Reese herself, she definitely would have. Going into the game last night, Cheryl Reed, the head coach of the Minnesota Lynxers, she told the doofus duo who refer to themselves as stud buds, she told them if they lost this game to the Chicago Bravado, they would no longer be allowed to stream on Twitch.
It's night and day. Still, the coaching staff keeps leaning into the illusion. They keep her on the floor, chasing double-doubles, even in blowout losses. That stat line padding might look good on social media, but it's doing the team no favors. And the league? It has pushed this rivalry between Reese and Caitlin Clark hard. But rivalries only work when both sides can deliver. Clark has changed the Fever's identity. Her presence brings wins, organization, and attention. Reese brings numbers and turnovers. It's not a fair fight. One is elevating teammates. The other is dragging them down. Analysts are starting to say it plainly. If Reese is your best player, your team has a ceiling, a low one, and the WNBA's attempt to sell her as a superstar, it's starting to crack.
Chicago Sky, y'all stink, bro. Y'all, look, there's trash and then there's trash. You know what I'm saying? But look, man, the Chicago Sky got destroyed by the stud buds. Everybody watches the stud buds. Shout out to Courtney Williams and Tisha Heiderman, man. Listen, stud buds stood on business today. Nafisa Collier stood on business today. They destroyed the Chicago Sky.
The Reese narrative is built on stats that don't lead anywhere. That's not greatness. That's performance theater. Chicago's track record supports this. Since Reese became the focal point, the team has just one win over a squad with a winning record. Just one. Meanwhile, they've suffered multiple blowout losses, games where Reese was on the floor for heavy minutes. Those aren't coincidences. They're patterns, and the numbers are brutal. Look at that Minnesota game again. 9 turnovers. A -19 in the box score, sloppy, erratic play. At one point, she attempted a no-look pass that sailed into the third row. It was that bad. And yet, media outlets still focused on her rebound count. That disconnect is staggering. It's a classic case of stats lying to you, because what those numbers don't show is the chaos she creates on the court. Poor spacing, poor decisions, poor ball movement. When Reese steps back, other players step up. The Sky move the ball better. Their offense breathes. It's no coincidence that their best stretches happen when she's on the bench. But instead of acknowledging the problem, the team seems stuck in a branding trap. They've tied their identity to the double-double queen, and now they're stuck with the consequences. Meanwhile, Parker's comments have cracked the dam. Other analysts are chiming in. They've seen what she sees. The hype doesn't match the reality. Reese isn't a leader. She isn't a game changer. She's a rebounder who turns the ball over at an alarming rate and hurts more than she helps. And now, people are finally willing to say it. The difference between Reese and players like Caitlin Clark is crystal clear. Clark transforms her team. She makes others better. She brings structure and vision. Reese brings mayhem. And that's not what a championship team needs. Chicago is learning that the hard way. This whole saga has exposed a deeper problem in how we evaluate players. We get caught up in flashy stats and viral clips, but those don't win games. What wins are fundamentals, leadership, smart decisions. Reese's game lacks those things, and the numbers prove it. Some of the blame falls on the coaching staff. They continue to put Reese in positions where her weaknesses are exposed. They treat her like a point forward when she clearly doesn't have the skills to handle that responsibility. They ignore the turnovers, the broken plays, and the blown leads, and they justify it all with a double-double that doesn't mean anything. If the Sky want to win, they need to make tough choices. That means looking beyond the branding and asking hard questions. Is Reese really helping us win, or are we protecting her image at the team's expense? Because right now, the answers aren't looking good. Parker's tier list wasn't about ego or clout. It was honest, it was informed, and it was necessary. It forced a long overdue conversation, not just about Reese, but about how we judge talent in this league. Too often we confuse marketing for substance. We see a nickname or a catchy highlight reel and assume greatness. But greatness is consistency. It's composure under pressure. It's doing the right thing at the right time. The future of women's basketball depends on players who elevate the game, who win, who lead, and who make everyone around them better. That's not Reese right now, and unless something changes, it may never be. The WNBA has a choice. It can keep chasing hype, or it can build around real talent. One path leads to growth and championships, the other leads to disappointment and excuses. And the fans, they're smart enough to tell the difference. It's time to stop pretending, time to get real about what's happening on the court. The numbers don't lie, the film doesn't lie, the losses don't lie. Angel Reese is not the player she's being sold as, and the sooner everyone accepts that, the better it'll be for the team and the league. Let me know if you'd like this split into 3 parts or formatted for a video script directly in Google Docs. Every possession tells a story, and when it comes to the Chicago Sky, that story keeps repeating itself. Angel Reese is in the middle of everything, and not in a good way. When she's the centerpiece, the offense falls apart, the ball sticks, spacing collapses, and the flow dies. She dominates the glass, yes, but at the cost of fluidity. That's a trade no winning team is willing to make, and it's why Candace Parker's critique hit so hard, it pointed directly at the problem everyone else was afraid to name. There's a growing belief across the league that Reese's playing style is unsustainable at the pro level. The constant rebounds don't outweigh the chaos she brings in transition, in the half court, and especially under defensive pressure. Her inability to read defenses, adapt on the fly, or deliver smart passes has turned her into a liability more often than not, and the more minutes she plays, the more glaring that liability becomes. It's not just about one game or one matchup. The numbers are consistent across the season. In games where Reese plays fewer minutes, Chicago's ball movement improves, turnovers drop, shot selection gets better, and the scoreboard reflects that improvement. When she plays more, the reverse happens: more turnovers, worse decisions, and losses. That correlation is impossible to ignore. Analysts aren't the only ones noticing. Opposing players have begun actively targeting her. Defenders bait her into making risky passes. They crowd her dribble and pressure her into mistakes. She's become predictable, and predictability at the pro level is a weakness that gets exploited relentlessly. She'll grab a board on one end, then hand the ball back to the opponent 2 seconds later. That trade kills momentum. What's worse is how the Sky coaching staff responds to these trends. Instead of adjusting, they double down. They treat her like a floor general, giving her touches at the elbow, letting her run the break, asking her to initiate offense when all signs show she's not ready for that role. It's not helping her. It's not helping the team, and it's not helping her reputation. Then there's the branding. The league has marketed Reese heavily since she entered. The Bayou Barbie image, the double-double talk, the rival narrative with Caitlin Clark, it all sells. But the product on the court hasn't kept pace. Fans are starting to catch on. They're watching her games and seeing a player who looks out of sync, unsteady, and overwhelmed by the responsibilities handed to her. The contrast with someone like Caitlin Clark couldn't be sharper. Clark elevates. She creates scoring chances. She makes average players look great. Her presence restructures an entire offense. Reese, on the other hand, absorbs the offense. It revolves around her, but not in a healthy way. Possessions end with awkward post-ups, rushed putbacks, or turnovers that destroy tempo. In many ways, Reese is being miscast. She's not a point forward. She's not a shot creator. She's not a system builder. She's a hustle player, a rebounder, someone who can clean up missed shots and bring energy on the boards. But instead of maximizing that role, the Sky are forcing her into positions where her weaknesses are front and center. It's not just hurting her, it's hurting the entire team. And let's be honest, this isn't about hate or personal agendas. Candace Parker didn't say what she said out of malice. She gave an honest evaluation, and that's what true leaders do. They hold players to the standard of winning. They don't get distracted by flash or popularity. They look at results, team impact, decision-making, and consistency. And by those measures, Reese has a long way to go. The fact that she can get a double-double and still be a -19 in the box score is a red flag. It means those stats aren't moving the needle. They're empty. They look good in isolation, but fall apart in context. And that's the real difference between role players and stars. Stars deliver results. Role players fill a need. Reese hasn't proven she can do the former. Even when Chicago has found rhythm in games, it's often when Reese is on the bench. The offense becomes smoother. Other players get more touches. There's more movement, more trust, more spacing, and suddenly the team doesn't look like a bottom-tier squad. They look functional. That says a lot. It's not an accident. It's a symptom of a system being built around the wrong player. Some say it's just growing pains, that she's young, that she'll develop. Maybe that's true. But right now, the league is watching a player who was marketed as a rising star struggle to meet the moment. And as more eyes tune in, more people are starting to ask tough questions. If a player racks up numbers but the team keeps losing, what are those numbers really worth? Other rookies and young stars are proving their worth by winning. Reese is proving something else entirely. And the frustration isn't just coming from analysts. Some fans are starting to question if they've been sold a dream that doesn't exist. The idea of Reese as a generational star is losing credibility. And that's not because people don't like her, it's because the game tape doesn't lie. Basketball is a results-driven sport. Stats only matter if they lead to victories. And for the Sky, victories have been hard to come by with Reese leading the charge. The WNBA's attempt to make her the face of the next generation is beginning to look misguided. When other players elevate the league's product on and off the court, forcing Reese into that spotlight feels like a disservice to everyone. The tipping point was that 9-turnover disaster. It wasn't just a bad night, it was a mirror. It reflected everything that's gone wrong this season. Poor decision-making, bad spacing, turnovers under no pressure, and a refusal by the coaching staff to pivot or adjust. They left her out there, chasing meaningless milestones while the game slipped away. That performance should have sparked change. Instead, it became another footnote in a growing pile of red flags. It's no longer about potential, it's about reality. The WNBA isn't a place where hype can shield performance forever. Eventually, players have to show that they belong, and so far, the evidence suggests Reese has a long way to go. This part of the story isn't just about one player. It's about how the league treats development. It's about how teams prioritize branding over substance, and how fans are growing smarter by the day, watching closely, learning the difference between stat padding and real impact. The truth is, Reese's issues aren't a secret anymore. The more she plays, the more evident they become, and no amount of highlight clips can hide them. Players who truly lead teams to wins don't need to be defended with excuses. Their play speaks for itself. Right now, Reese's play is screaming for a reset. There comes a point in every player's journey when the numbers stop mattering and the wins or the lack of them do all the talking. For Angel Reese, that point has arrived. The longer the season goes on, the louder the questions get. And it's no longer just sports analysts or commentators whispering doubts. It's fans, players, and insiders alike. The narrative is collapsing under the weight of hard truth. What's left is a player surrounded by hype, but not supported by results. A player whose presence on the court doesn't elevate her team, but instead slows it down. A player who can collect rebounds all day, but can't protect the ball. A player who's trusted to lead, but can't withstand pressure. It's become undeniable. This experiment of forcing her into a star role has failed. Even casual viewers can see it now. When Reese gets the ball, it doesn't create fear, it creates tension. Her teammates hesitate, defenders close in, and possessions start to look frantic instead of coordinated. This isn't a chemistry problem, it's a basketball problem, and the league is running out of excuses to cover it up. Chicago's coaching staff bears part of the blame. Instead of recognizing what Reese does well and building around that, they've tried to turn her into something she's not. She's not a decision maker, she's not a primary scorer, she's not a floor general, but they've put her in those roles anyway, hoping she'd grow into them. What they've done instead is magnify every weakness she has. This isn't about rooting against her. It's about asking the right questions. Why are the Sky forcing the ball through her hands when it leads to turnovers? Why are they giving her the green light to initiate offense when her reads are consistently late or off target? Why are they allowing her to stay in blowouts just to pad stats that don't matter? The data is clear. Chicago performs better without her dominating the minutes. They win more. They score more efficiently. They protect the ball. They look like a team. So why continue this charade? The answer, unfortunately, may come down to branding. The league saw a marketing opportunity and ran with it. They built a storyline, gave her nicknames, crafted a rivalry, and convinced people that Reese was a rising star. But real stars don't need marketing to prove their value. They show up when it matters. They win. And while Reese has struggled, her supposed rival has flourished. Caitlin Clark has helped turn the Indiana Fever into a functional, improving team. She's adjusted quickly. She makes plays. She keeps her teammates involved. Her presence has energized not just her roster, but the entire league. TV ratings, social buzz, merchandise sales, it's all followed Clark, not because of promotion, but because of production. Meanwhile, Chicago remains stuck defending Reese's role, stuck in denial about what's actually happening, and stuck losing winnable games. If there's any hope of a turnaround, it has to start with honesty. That means taking a hard look at the tape, facing the facts, and changing how she's used or how much she's used. There's a reason so many analysts are now speaking up. Candace Parker opened the floodgates, and others followed. They've seen this story before. A young player with potential gets handed too much too soon. Instead of learning and growing in a supportive role, she's thrown into the fire as a franchise player and burned by the expectations. It's not too late for Reese, but the role she's in now isn't helping her grow. It's exposing her. She needs structure, she needs accountability, and she needs to redefine how she fits into a winning team. Because right now, her presence is making it harder for the Sky to function. The turnover numbers are only part of it. It's the missed reads, the poor help defense, the awkward post positioning, the forced drives into traffic, the refusal to adapt. These issues aren't one-offs, they're trends, and trends don't lie. And then there's the emotional side, the outward confidence, the flashy nicknames, the celebratory gestures. Those are fine when you're winning, but when you're losing, when you're costing your team possessions, that energy starts to feel hollow. Fans notice, so do teammates. There's already chatter about whether Chicago's locker room culture is being strained by this dynamic. Are players frustrated by having to defer to someone who's clearly not leading them to wins? Are they tired of the post-game narratives that ignore what's really happening on the floor? Those questions matter, and they'll only grow louder if changes aren't made soon. The league, too, has a role in this. By over-promoting one player at the expense of others, they've created a situation where the spotlight is too hot and too unforgiving. Reese has been set up to fail. She's expected to lead without being ready, and every mistake is now amplified. This isn't about tearing someone down, it's about telling the truth. Reese can still have a meaningful career in the WNBA, but it won't happen until the fantasy version of her fades and the real version gets the support, development, and realistic role she actually needs. That starts with recognizing what she's not, as much as what she is. She's not a playmaker. She's not a volume scorer. She's not a defensive anchor. She's a rebounder with raw athleticism, not yet refined for elite-level execution. And that's okay if the team treats her accordingly. But if they keep pretending she's a franchise star, they're doing both her and the organization a massive disservice. The contrast with Clark only sharpens the picture. Clark is about movement, spacing, and basketball IQ. She processes defenses quickly. She anticipates instead of reacting. She commits far fewer unforced errors. And most importantly, her game directly correlates with improved outcomes for her team. It's not just numbers, it's wins. When the league looks back on this season, it will remember the turning point. That moment when the narrative shifted, when people stopped buying into hype and started valuing substance, when fans realized that double-doubles mean nothing if they're tied to 20-point losses, and when analysts stopped tiptoeing around uncomfortable truths. Candace Parker told the truth, she backed it up, and she refused to let the backlash silence her. That's leadership, that's integrity, and that's the kind of voice the WNBA needs more of, not just on the court, but in conversations that shape its future. The next chapter for Angel Reese is unwritten, but how it starts will depend on what happens next. Will Chicago continue to chase a version of her that doesn't exist? Or will they help her become the player she actually can be, disciplined, focused, and effective in the right role? Basketball is ruthless. It doesn't care about brand deals, follower counts, or nicknames. It rewards impact. And right now, the truth is clear. Angel Reese's impact is negative. That can change. But only if the league, her team, and Reese herself stop pretending and start evolving. Because in the WNBA, the difference between stardom and irrelevance comes down to one thing: wins. And wins don't lie.